Everyone, today we're here with Cheryl, and she is going to give us information about government contracts and grants. So, Cheryl, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Cheryl, we want to know, first of all, how you got into government contracting and the company you work for.
Okay, I'll give a quick story. I got into government contracting because just like everyone else, I went to school, went to college because that's what we were supposed to do. So I went to college, got a computer science degree, ended up getting a master's degree in management as well, and wanted to climb that corporate ladder. Well, I kept finding out that that ladder was pretty short. So I ended up leaving the corporate sector and decided I need to do something on my own because if I don't, I'm not going to make the type of money that I want to make. So I wanted to be in control of my own destiny. So what I ended up doing was I started off as a mortgage person. I got up one morning, I said, you know what? I want to have a mortgage business. So I started off, and that was back in 2005 before the bust happened. So I ended up starting a mortgage company, was doing very well. And then that fateful morning came when I got online to look at my pipeline and it was gone. I did some work. I used to work up under Dana Capital, and I'll go into that a little bit later. But I did some work up under Dana Capital, and their business was shut down. So they literally had a note on the door that in handwriting saying, "Hey, we're closed, no longer in business." So that's how I woke up to the whole mortgage crisis. And when they said you lost your money overnight, I literally went to sleep with a nice pipeline, money coming in, and woke up no money in the pipeline, but the money I had already made. So after that ended up happening, I decided to go into doing government contracting. I was like, okay, let me test the waters in that. And believe it or not, I was self-taught. I got books. I'm a book bug. So I went out there, got every book that I could find on government contracting. I went to all of the SBA meetings and the small business meetings, all of this stuff, trying to understand what is this government contracting about. And I put in my first bid years ago. My first bid was for green dogs, and people probably don't even know what green dogs are. I didn't either, so don't feel bad. Green dogs are drug dogs. I ended up submitting the contract in. It was for the Mexican embassy. I did my background work to figure out, hey, how much I should bid on this, where am I going to get these dogs, all of that. Ended up winning that contract. Now, keep in mind, people, the key thing is that was my first contract, which means that I didn't have prior history, which is very good for those of you who are trying to get involved in government contracting now, because I won my contract from the Mexican embassy off the bat, just came out and got that contract. And what ended up happening was I wasn't looking for them to want to come out and do site visits right away. But the day I won the contract, they called me the next day saying, hey, we're going to schedule a site visit. Well, all I had was mutt and mutts. Both of my dogs are mutt. There ain't nothing drug dog about them. So I ended up getting on the phone, calling out to San Antonio. I was living in Houston at the time, calling out to San Antonio. And I went out there and found guys that had kennels and that was actually training these dogs. So once I got out there, these are people that was bidding against me. That's the funny part. They have the dogs. They actually had the dogs. I had no dogs. And I won this contract. So long story short, I got with them, talked them into giving me a net 30 term, which means that I didn't have to pay for nothing out of pocket, never had to go into my bank account to do anything. All I did was project manage the whole transaction. So once the Mexican embassy came out, they picked the dogs they wanted. We ended up having to fly the dogs out to the Mexican embassy, which can be very, very dangerous because the cartels, as soon as they find out that their dogs, drug dogs that they're transporting, they tend
Hmm.
to kill the dogs. So it was a learning experience for me. So I was nervous the whole time of the transaction. We were trying to make sure that these dogs were going to make it to the destination. So after that ended, the government, they sent me a check directly into my bank account. Well, sent me my money directly into my bank account, and I paid my subcontractors, which were the guys that I bought the dogs from,
Hmm.
and the rest of the money was profit. I made over $40,000 in a matter of a few days doing this one transaction. Now, keep in mind, I didn't necessarily have to go out to San Antonio, but I wanted to see what was going on. You just don't leave, some of your money out on the table because they could have talked to the guys, and, so I felt my presence was needed. That is what we consider a service contract. So that was my first contract coming out the gate. Long story
Wow,
short.
that's a good. Well, like they say on the street, you hit a good lick on the first shot.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
right then I knew this is what I need to be doing.
yeah, yeah. And I like you say that you're self-taught because people think that you always got to go some 4 to 8 year college to get knowledge. But a lot of times we got gifts already in us, and if we just put in the right position, it come out. Because I know people who barely had a seventh grade education in my time period growing up, and they had more money than people with college degrees.
Correct. And you know what? To be perfectly honest, I learned more under myself, self-teaching myself than I did in the classroom. Because a lot of times they teaching you that book knowledge, but what I consider that street knowledge that you sometimes need, that hands-on,
Hmm.
it doesn't compare with the book knowledge. It just doesn't. So I used all of the information that I pretty much gathered. I put together procedures and processes that I needed to use to make me successful in doing government contracting.
Okay, so a lot of people, so now you're discussing government contracting. Of course, we don't really even hear that in our community, government contracts. I mean, the most things that we hear is government programs that possibly help you if you're down on your luck. So, government contracting, what requirements you got to have to get that?
All right, everybody, this is where you go get your pen and your paper. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Get your pen and your paper, and I'm about to tell you what you need to do to get your government contract started. All right. First of all, you need a corporation. So whatever state that you're located in, you need to get with the Secretary of State and get a corporation formed. That's number one. The price of it is going to vary depending on what state you're in. So that is your first step. The second step is to get an EIN. This number is, you can get this number from the IRS. The third thing you need is your Dun and Bradstreet number. This number is given to you by Dun and Bradstreet. Now, Dun and Bradstreet is a private corporation, so they will try to sell you some products and services. You do not need that. All you need is that Dun and Bradstreet number that they give you for free. Okay? Once you get that number, then you go to your next step, which is getting into sam.gov and getting registered. So once you do those steps, and let's keep in mind, I'm going to go over them one more time so you can really understand what I'm saying. For the corporation formation, and this is actually starting a government contracting business, to get it started is that corporation fee. The corporation fee, once again, is going to vary depending on what state you're in. So I'm in Texas. Corporations out there are about $250. So that's your startup capital right there that you're gonna need to start your government contracting business. When you receive your go and you apply for your EIN number, that is free. Okay, that is from the IRS. When you apply for that Dun and Bradstreet number, that is free. When you actually go into sam.gov to get registered, that is free. So literally, you started a government contracting business for about $250, depending on what state you're in. So once you do that, you are all ready to start going on their sites and applying for grants, applying for contracts, the whole nine.
All right. So if the person they got everything that you stated and they ready to go, they ready, but they start to look at grants and the contracts and say, "Oh my God, this is kind of overwhelming." Now this is the second part that come in. People like yourself that also has a magic pen. Tell us about that, because I'm the kind of person that I will utilize that service from you, because I don't have the time, or I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes, a lot of people don't. So when you're doing the grant, the contracting part, you can go to F as in Frank, B as in boy, O as in Oscar.gov. This is an official government site where they list all of the things that they're needing, whether it's a product or whether it's a service. Right now, FEMA is all over that site because of the disasters that are happening. So they need all kind of products, services all day. So that is where you go. That is what I consider your shopping list, where you go and pick out things that you feel that you can actually provide for the government. So that's the government contracting side. And I do want to explain this part as well, because there's two different ways that you could do government contracting. Real quick. The first way is what I did, which is considered a service contract. Anytime that you have to go out and perform some type of service, whether that's janitorial work, whatever it may be, that is considered a service contract where you have to hire employees to come in and actually do that work. Now, what I have pegged as drop shipping, it is any product. For instance, the government buy tissue. They buy everything that we utilize in our world, they utilize it in theirs. So I'll
Hmm.
use the example of tissue. You go online, you see where the government needs 5,000 rolls of tissue. You would actually go to a supplier and figure out, okay, how much are you going to sell this to me for? You put your upcharge in it and you sell that to the government, and you never have to leave your home. All you're doing is calling and making transactions over the phone, because they're shipping it directly to the government. So once the government pays you, then you're paying your supplier. So it's just that simple with drop shipping.
Man, that's awesome. I like to hear that you can actually just sit at home and do drop ship, and you're actually getting a government contract. So you stated that things like janitorial, household items. What are the contracts that's out there right now, especially with these storms like right here in Houston or Florida, etc.?
Okay, well, I have a couple of contracts out there right now. One of them is for debris picking up. So they need people that have the equipment. You must have some type of equipment or know someone that you can get this equipment from. So they have the debris pickup, and they also have the contracts out there to pick up the wrecked cars that are out there. They also have counseling grants that's out there, because they know that this has been traumatic on a lot of people. So they actually have counseling contracts where you go out and counsel the people that has been affected by the storms. They I just saw a contract the other day where they're looking for a gospel group to do something at a church. So they have all kind of stuff. that's out there, any skill set that you may have, it can translate over into government contracting. I don't care what you do. If you tap dancing, they have yellow ribbon ceremonies that they do every year, and they have entertainment out there. So no matter what facet of life that you're in, you can translate that over to doing some type of government contracting.
I'm sorry, Cheryl. I wanted to laugh earlier when you said tap dancing because when we are tap dancing on this channel, it's not we're not actually talking about tap dancing. We talking about shucking and jiving here. So I just started laughing. Yeah, when you say tap dancing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just when you said tap dance, I held it in. I held it in long as I could. Those is watching, you know exactly what we're talking about. But what she's saying is, when you talk about the counseling part, that's something that I definitely would be interested in because that's stuff that I like to do anyway. So I'm gonna have to look into that myself.
Yep.
Just talking to different people about what they went through and how they feel. I have an ear for that. So yeah, I'm gonna talk to you about that later. So now people can get access to these contracts. Once they put in their bid, how long does it usually take for the people to know if they were accepted or not?
It doesn't. And you know what? I'm gonna go back a little bit because I did not tell them when you're starting your government contract business, it only takes about a week and a half before you've gone through all those steps and actually registered. So I just wanted them to know that as well. Now, it depends on the agency that you're dealing with. Most of the stuff that's coming out now because of the hurricanes, they're letting you know the next day. So you can put your bid in and they're like, hey, yeah, you got it. You need to get started. So that's how it's going now because it's so fast paced. So the turnaround is definitely going to depend on the organization that you're dealing with, whether it's the Army, the Navy, whomever. It's going to vary with that. But I say typically within a week, you should know whether or not you were selected.
Okay, and so if people want to get signed up, they can use your services, right?
They can if they want to. They can definitely give us a call, and I'll put my website. If you want to contact me because you have any questions or issues or what have you, you can contact me at Stevenson businesssolutions.com. And you can also give me a call. I'll give my number as well. You can also give me a call. Let me make sure I'm at 832-779-3210 if you need some additional information.
All right, well, make sure, guys, you call Cheryl. Make sure you do that because, most of us don't even know anything about this. Like I said, I've heard about this, but I'm really getting educated in it. I know people in the community needs to get educated in it. And see, this is the thing. They like to say, my people pass for a lack of knowledge. I'm sorry, perish for a lack of knowledge. And the issue with us in the black community is the reason why we're so far behind is because they purposely hid this knowledge from us so we wouldn't get ahead and actually be able to compete. So now that you're getting the knowledge, utilize that. Get with Cheryl, ask her questions, utilize her services because some of you may be stay-at-home moms. And if you can do a drop ship, for instance, and not leave the home and possibly make $30,000 or $40,000, or shoot, that's the best job ever. And what she said in the beginning was the best thing. What she said was she wasn't going to make the certain amount of money working for somebody else, and she was basically have the attitude of doing for self. And that's what we promote here, Cheryl, is doing for self. I always promote that the only freedom that black people have in America is working for themselves. Anything more than that, you're going to deal with racism, you're going to be stifled, and all the things that come along with that.
And you know what? I'm going to add to that because I really want to hit home with people. The other thing that is so great about doing government contracts, it's the one thing that when you send them numbers in, they don't care if you was black, blue, brown, gray. They're looking at that bottom line. If you have the lowest bid amount, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get that contract. Now, they do have certain set asides for minorities, but we're not utilizing them in the manner we should. So this is the arena we need to be playing in, because they are really out there actively looking for us, especially women-owned businesses. If you are a man and you have a construction company, like for instance, my husband has one. So guess what? The company name is me. I'm 100. I'm 50. No, I'm 99% ownership of it, and that's because as the top owner, they're looking at me as, hey, this is a woman, a minority. Hey, we're going to give her some, because they set aside a certain amount of business specifically for us, but we're not utilizing that. So they're actually looking for a black woman, a black male, an Indian. They're looking for everybody, but we're not utilizing this to our advantage. So guess what? The white men, they're putting their women as top owner of their companies, and they're getting the contracts that we're supposed to really be getting, because they said woman-owned business. They didn't say black. And I have seen contracts out there now where they are putting white woman as a set aside. So we don't wake up pretty soon,
Really?
we're not going to have anything.
Really?
Yes. I was taken aback. I was like, why they need a set aside? They don't have
everything been set aside from the beginning. Like,
exactly.
But
they don't have it set aside for a black woman, but they got to set aside for a white woman. So
no matter where the conversation go in America, it always goes back to, unfortunately, white supremacy. Oh boy,
they are taking over. Or,
taking over. They've been took over.
That's what I was about to say. It's been a done deal.
They just try to be more slick with the paperwork, and as I stated before, it's easier to put down white woman when you don't really have many black women out there with the knowledge to go get the money.
Yep.
So, we always wanted our platform not only to be a place of news, but also information that you could benefit in your life. And, this information is wonderful. I'm loving it. Like I said, I'm learning, guys, as much as you're learning by hearing this. So, like I said, I love to soak up knowledge from brothers and sisters who got the game. And Cheryl, so when people contact you and possibly sign up for your services, you obey to instruct them in every which way possible, and that way you can get them on the right track, correct?
Correct. Yes, I will assist them with getting their business started, showing them how to look for the contracts and how to submit the contracts. So yeah, it's some steps to it. A lot of this knowledge that I'm giving you is my hands-on knowledge, my processes that I've done that has been tried and true, and definitely been working for me and my other clients. So I'm hoping that you guys would definitely give me a call. We're always looking for money, but we're looking for money from each other. When all of us are kind of in the same situation, you need to go where the money at. And we all know that the government has the money. They have it. So instead of, trying to kind of feed off each other all the time, and I'm going to give y'all a quick story because I don't want to forget this. I don't want to ramble on either. But a lot of people do not understand that Donald Trump himself, his grandfather started their businesses and they boomed with government contracting. Okay? They started their whole real estate business around government money, doing government contracts for HUD. And because the Trumps entered into that arena, they had to change laws behind Trump them, because they were building the little houses that they were supposed to build, but they were quadrupling their profits, and that's not what they were supposed to be doing. But because it wasn't any law set and regulated, you guys can look that up yourself. They went to court, he went to court and everything. This is how they amassed their fortune. But because we look at the government like, no, it's a conspiracy. No, we can't deal with them. we're not moving ahead because that's where everybody else is going. They're getting billions of dollars from the government to do projects, simple projects, like this little counseling contract that's out there. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna pay somebody 400,000 or 500,000 to come around there and talk to you. How you feeling after this storm? Keep your head up, you know. And I'm being funny, but that's really literally what you're doing. And you're gonna get about 500,000 for going around doing that, what you love. In most cases, you're doing that for free. So if you don't learn anything else from listening to me on this show today, stop doing things for free. Stop. That's where we mess up a lot at. I really don't do anything for free unless I'm doing some type of bartering. So if I'm doing something for free, I'm getting something back. And we have been taught that that's wrong. You're supposed to give freely. But look around, look at us. We're not progressing. We're in a capitalistic society. Everybody else is making money but us. So the number one thing you need to know is stop doing stuff for free. Your time is money. If you want to do something that you love to do, go get yourself a contract. Get paid for going out there doing the stuff that you love to do. I have plenty of women that love to shop. You know, stop shopping for your girlfriends for free and picking out stuff. Get on the FBO.gov and go shopping. Go on there and pick out stuff, and that way you can go to a supplier. They buy clothes, they buy boots, everything that we use here, dishes, whatever it is. You could be out there shopping for the government. Turn your hobbies into a government contracting business. Stop doing things for free.
Hey, that's the best motto ever, because in the capitalist society, you know, that, well, you should do it for free or free 99 that we have as black people. But when other groups of people tell us a charge, we don't say, oh, man, come on, bro. We don't say none of that in our community. And, you know, in order for us to advance, we talk about creating our own schools, creating our own businesses. It takes money. It's not going to just come out of thin air or just on hope. So, you know, guys, like I say, contact Cheryl. Please contact Cheryl. And let's go ahead on and start creating those schools we're talking about. Let's start creating those businesses we're talking about instead of just talking all the time and being subjected to the problems that we're being subjected to. So, Cheryl, I definitely want to thank you for joining us on the show today. It's definitely been informative.
Thanks. It was great being here.